the difficulty.
Got me sipping on the MoFaya when I need more power. That's why I done hit a lick off a couch and I need more finer. Big time a low rider, running no more fire. And I ain't been stacking up home bread. Hustling more fire, more fire, more fire, more fire, more fire, more fire. Better wire it to my account. More fire, more.
The clothing that you wear, the food that you eat, the transport that you use, where you send your kids to school, where you buy medicine from. It may not be a lot, mhlawumbe uholu 5,000 a month, mhlawumbe uholu 10,000. Leo budget yakho, khona abantu abanamathenda emali yakho. What are you doing with those tenders? Who are you giving them to?
This is the Hustler's Corner.
Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the virtual Mkhukhu with myself, Penuel the Black Pen, and my big brother, DJ Sbu. I'd just like to greet him now before I address you guys. Buddha, how are you doing?
Mr. Godpi, how you doing?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you, the Black Pen.
We'd like to welcome you guys to the virtual Mkhukhu for another week. It's Monday, it's fresh. We're always happy to see you. Of course, we're growing our new channel, so please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to click on the notification bell. And as we grow bigger and bigger, we'll open up things such as memberships, which we have on our Grootman platform, the Hustlers Corner, for all our hustlers there. Spuda, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been great, man. It's good to hear you. Your voice is sounding better than last week, but I still can hear that it's not 100% back to its normal form yet.
Sure.
Let me know.
My throat was just not getting better for weeks. But if you can pick it up, then number one, I feel much better. But I've got a funny feeling that my voice is never going to go back to what it was.
Are you serious?
But it sounds funny now.
Okay.
But maybe I'm still recovering and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, you're recovering. You'll be fine.
Spanish grand?
Yeah, no, I've been great. Kids are growing.
Yeah.
Business fine. Can't complain. And it's a good thing that it's September. In terms of this business, it's a good season. When it starts getting warm, our sales start improving. Wintertime, we don't do as great as we do in summer.
Understandably.
So yeah, that's what it is. Kids, bathanda umsindo, bahlakaniphile, bayaphapha, bafuna ukuya boma-Sun City, bafuna ukuya emadebeni, and it's that time, it's that season. You know, I'm just excited about this week. Looking forward to the trip to Inzalo Yelanga.
Come on.
Yeah.
You manifested, let me not say we, I don't want to take this shine away from you. You brought Mkhulu Nsingiza on this platform. I don't even know if you knew what you were giving birth to by inviting him. I don't even know if he knew what he was going to be giving birth to, because ever since that episode where Mkhulu Nsingiza came through, it seems like we have touched a lot of people's hearts and minds and spirits. We're celebrating African New Year for the first time for a lot of people. And it is given birth to Inzalo Yelanga. How do you feel about that? And what are the plans for the week ahead?
It's beautiful initiatives. I think I remember at YFM, the trips we used to make to the likes of about Jen BMATs, about Durban July, and just whenever we would be driving out to go gig somewhere or a boss parade. So when I look at this experience, I'm like, I repeat it's we, because it's always a beautiful collective effort that we do here on this platform. I look at it like as, like you look at a Metro FM, they also have got their own properties, as in their own events.
Yeah.
They've got their heat wave around summertime. I think they start around now, all the way until January. They've got the Durban July things that they do. They also have got the Met. I don't know if it's still sponsored by JNB. Every radio station has got its own properties.
Sure.
Car FM has got that boat cruise thing that it does.
Oh, ship.
Yeah, the O ship. And they've got, other properties also, just like, your Power FM and your YFM and all the other platforms. So I look at it like being a very tiny little small media platform that we sort of are becoming. I think we've given birth to that little baby. I see it as something that will grow over time, but I'm just humble that at least we have combined our heads to say, let's support this initiative. Mm-hmm. It is Umkhulu's dream, which has been the late great cuckoo, Credo Muta's dream, just to contribute to make it a success. I think it's a noble deed that we
are there still tickets available? I remember Sis Mandisa was complaining that a lot of the packages had sold out.
Yeah, most packages are sold out. I think people that are forcing to come now, it's people who might not be sleeping at the actual environment where we'll be sleeping, but after everything happens, I think they'll probably drive like 15 minutes away to go sleep elsewhere. The main issue being, it's not an issue though, accommodation. So let me say, there is still space for anybody that still wants to, find a way to join us. But the tickets are sold out.
Congrats, by the way, to the entire team. I've been having goosebumps for the last couple of weeks. Joshua Maponga interview, Zamalek
Oh,
Giza,
that was nice.
and now we're going to Inzalo Yelanga. I'm saddened now because I didn't see the value back then, but I'm saddened now that I never met Ukoko Uvusamazulu.
Yeah.
Credo Mutwa, but I'm hoping that wherever he may be amongst us within some of our spirits, he's proud of some of the work we're doing, some of the awakening that's happening. And I do invite a lot of our squatters, if they can, maybe convoy if that's possible, or just drive down, join us, even if it's just for one day, to celebrate the significance of the African New Year. And I hope we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a beautiful educational experience. I look at a lot of people all over the world who, people create reasons or beautiful excuses just to travel or to be together. There's people who do. I remember I went with some American friends, some friends from Asia, from Germany, just a whole group of us. I think I was staying in LA at that time. We took what do they call it? Jeez, man. Oh man, I forgot what they call these trips. Where a whole gang of you, no.
Okay.
A whole gang of you go on a retreat.
Okay, a retreat.
Yeah.
Sure.
To Spain, for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With strangers, people you don't know. And especially Genge yoga. I was with the Genge yoga, doing, I'm a breathe in, breathe out, meditating, learning so much.
Yeah.
And I've done trips in the past as well with people where you're just visiting some very strange or peculiar places that you've never been to. Maybe you're together for like 10 days, you just go away. I love those, because they're always educational. I look at this one like that it's going to become, and I would like for it to become that, where we all feel around this time of the year, let's all go. It might not be a doof. It might not be a Coachella, but it's something different for us to go and learn.
Yeah.
Especially us.
How important is traveling to you?
It's beautiful. I love traveling a lot, Mr. P. I have not traveled since COVID. I've only been to Zimbabwe.
In the last 3 years?
In the last 3 years,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For you, that's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, I travel like maybe at least 8, 10, 12, 15 times a year. I'm always out of the country. To move from that to not travel anywhere for like 3 years and just be here at home, I kind of feel, I'm singing by Pene Plus.
You're starting to be a local complaining about Ekasi.
Yeah. But it's been beautiful because it's given me time to bond with my children, my family, focus on my business, and just to also be in touch with a lot of the things that are going on like Kaya, and be involved with my businesses and just spend as much time as I can with my mother. My dads, may their souls rest in peace. My stepfather who brought me up, they're both my fathers. I mean, I don't really say stepfather and father. My biological father and my father are no longer around. And my father used to say, I must look after my moms in the event that anything happens. So I think in the past 3 years, I've also bonded with my mom more than I have ever bonded with her ever since I've been an adult. You need to remember, I joined the music industry when I was like 21. So I've been on the road since I was 21. But as much as I'd spend time with my moms, as I was saying, they're traveling. They're always just being away and just being on shows, and then the career evolved into speaking engagements. And if you're not speaking, you're DJing. You're not DJing, you're launching a book, you got a tour, you're invited all over. If it's not that, you're just doing all these different travels all the time. And you look at it, it's like, wow, 20 years is gone.
20 years is gone.
I've never had time to just see my moms almost every weekend and just take my moms out and just be there, just being ngane yakhe, you know. So I think these past 3 years have given me that. Although sadly we've also lost some of our family members, so it's been quite a I think in this past 3 years, not only me, if you haven't grown wherever you are, doesn't have to be even in this continent alone. If you haven't grown in the past 3 years as a human being, you know, I'm definitely sure people have grown. Yeah, so I have grown. Relationships have grown, experienced a lot of things, lost a lot of money, went through a lot. One of my businesses got shut down. One of my other businesses, we are in very big debt. Uyabona wena ndoda ukolota abantu 20 million. Cabanga imali engaka. Uyabona unokolota umuntu ndoda ke mkolota 1,800. So Tina, there's this company that lent us money, like 20 million to start this business, pushing with my business partners. But that's how the cookie crumbles with business. It's a risk. Some business are not going to succeed. And I'm not saying that this business in particular didn't succeed or it's not succeeding, but yeah, we've had to get ourselves into a debt of about 20 million. So it's been quite a challenging and a learning period the past 3 years. But I'm glad that one has had to go through that journey. We are cool, but welcome to being a man.
Yo, adulting shows us flames.
Hey, bro.
By the way, good luck with the debt. I can only imagine. I hope number one, I hope you make enough money to pay it back. If not, I hope an arrangement can be made. I think at some point, this has been my biggest business lesson in my little hustles. Aboma 1.8. Knowing when to... true story. Very small businesses. Knowing when to kill a business is something that I hadn't learned, and maybe I still haven't learned it fully. With COVID, a lot of businesses closed down. And I remember Uvusi Tembewayo did an interview with, I don't remember this gentleman's name. It was a white gentleman. When everyone was doing Insta Lives. But my Insta Lives, I do me under COVID lockdown.
Lockdowns, yeah.
Of it, Zoom blew up as well during that time, about TikTok. But one of the things that this white gentleman said was the businesses that are going to be okay are the ones that are going to preempt that we're going to suffer. Contracts are not going to be renewed maybe 6 months from now. And they want to make the decisions now to begin retrenching or telling people, look, we'll pay you for the next 3 months and then you must find something else. We're going to start closing offices. Because a lot of us, forced, even when the business is seeing flames. And sometimes it's to our detriment because by the time you're contracting a SECO, you've got workers that you never told and never prepped for. You've got debts that you can't pay because you could have made arrangements in advance with that time. So learning when a business is fragile, failing, not okay, and when to pull the trigger and say, you know what, take this thing off life support, salvage what you can, speak to your creditors and tell them, look, call your lawyers now. Let your lawyers come and attack us now while it's right, it's healthy. So good luck with that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Do you ever think you'll settle down? You've got an insane work ethic. I've said it before. When you speak about traveling, speak about spending time with your mom, with your kids, your biological and obviously your other children that people you see as your children. Do you ever think of settling down with time? Maybe when I turn 60, I'll slow down. I'll stop traveling. Or is it going to be go for you forever?
I have slowed down,
Conscious decision, not COVID.
I think I have slowed down even before COVID, as much as I was traveling, but I would still like to believe I wasn't as hectic as I used to be. I think I work smarter now. I think I work very, very smart. I have slowed down. I mean, I'm not employed, you know? I'm literally unemployed. That's why all I've been doing is just podcasting the whole year. But that's just a joke, guys, obviously. And I don't want it to land wrong because other people might just feel that type of thing, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, there isn't a place that I have to wake up every morning to report to. Unless when I've, like, for instance, as I was telling you, I was supposed to have a business trip this entire week, business tour, because we're just about to close this season in trade. For those that trade, you guys know the informal trade, cash and carries, wholesalers, you know, I sell a lot of this there. So you need to remember we are a B2B. business, so we are not a B2C.
What's the difference?
Business to business. So we sell to business. We sell to other businesses. We don't sell directly to a consumer who's buying one can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So B2B is business to business. B2C is business to consumer.
To customer, to consumer, yes. So Tina, we business to business, and then once they get our product, those businesses, they also on-sell our product to other businesses that then sell to the customer. So there's a pipeline. So Tina, our pipeline, and I would say our cutoff time for the year for this business, for MoFaya, for drinks, would be November. So just after, they call it what? Black Friday.
Black Friday.
After Black Friday, for Tina, the year is done.
So ama sales for festive awe nasuke
They're already
November.
done, yeah, they're already done. Because you need to remember, we're selling to businesses that also sell to other businesses that then only sell to consumers.
Oh,
then.
snap.
So Tina, by after Black Friday, then we're done.
You already know if you've had a good year or not.
Yes.
Mid-November.
And we already now know, obviously, that we've had a great year. I think coming from COVID, as much as winter is always difficult, the sales are a bit low, but at least we've hit our targets for this year.
Congrats.
We've already, thank you. We've already hit the numbers. We've already hit last year's numbers, and we've already hit this year's targets,
Hectic.
So at least there's a bit of
Are you
growth
excited?
there. It's okay, it's normal.
Come on.
It's growing. I mean, it's growing, but you need to remember this is a 30-year plan, bro.
Yeah.
This is not something that is gonna pop now. It's something that just keeps growing every year. It just keeps growing every year. It's something that you're gonna look back one day and be proud of, but it's not something that I'd say, it's an overnight type of a business,
Is that common? Do people ever speak about things like, we hear about China having 100-year plans, 30-year plan? What does that even mean? Is that normal?
Because on our business plan, when we started MoFaya, we broke it down into 3 different phases. The first phase would be 10 years. The second phase would be another 10 years. The third phase would be another 10 years. And the phase 1 being a startup, a new kid on the block. You're excited. You're going into the market. Then you go into trade. Then you get to really see what business is all about. And that's why I think I've just been turning gray, and I've just been growing. My business has been showing me flames. It's not the music industry, where you always have to be posing for cameras and make-upping and looking good, and just making another hit song and shooting a music video. It's a different ball game,
30 years.
So the first phase was that be not radical, but think out of the box, be aggressive in your approach. That's why people would call our approach guerrilla marketing, and they'd call us all sorts of different names. But I kind of felt we did what we could do, to achieve whatever we wanted to achieve, because the climate wasn't as it's sort of becoming now. As much as it's difficult now, when we were starting, which is 8 years ago, was much worse. Because the narrative wasn't as loud as it is now, of supporting Black, of seeing corporates partner with us, of people being welcoming into buying, Black-owned products. There was a lot of skepticism in the market. A lot of people thought we didn't know what we were doing. A lot of people thought we were chance takers. We're not going to be here for long. The trade also didn't trust us. They were pushing back all the time, no matter whatever doors we knocked on. For some reason, we ended up getting embraced by the informal markets, the cash and carries, the wholesalers, that side of the market space. For those who don't know, in South African trade, you've got what they would call informal markets, cash and carries, wholesalers, and that entire space services the biggest chunk of South African small businesses, like the spaza shops all over the country, because people buy there in bulks, and they go sell in their own stores, etc. And then you've got this side, which is retail. Retail, we tried whatever we could, we just couldn't get it. And it's only just now that the brand has made a name for itself on the ground, and that it's sort of starting to get better. And then over the next 2 years, we not even the next 2 years, I think our first 10-year goal, we knocked it out of the park much earlier. If there was no COVID, I think we'd be flying even further now.
Come on.
Yeah, but we did well. And then the second phase is to corporatize the business, to scale up, to then have the rightful people to actually run this business. Because Spiwe is a minor. I'm an entertainer, an engineer, and
Yeah.
we just threw money at this thing and thought it'll work, and we just thought because I was in the entertainment business, everybody would embrace it, and so if I my show and things would blow up, but that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Yasibonisa bomame to the business, and then usually you have to go and get the rightful people that are trained or
Yeah.
that have got experience
Yeah.
to help you grow a business. So to get those types of people, it's extremely expensive.
Sure.
So your business has to be making, certain good margins so that you're able to afford that type of staff complement or those types of expertise. And that's what I think Bananas Pure have been good at doing over the past years to just get this engine together that can help us run this thing and take it to where it's supposed to go to, because we are not MBAs. We've never listed companies before. We've never ran a company and made it $1 billion company before. We've never done any of that. Tina, all we did was Spew at least is a miner, so he's been building mines. At least he speaks figures of billions in meetings. I mean, I come from the music business, negotiating from there to becoming like a proper businessman hasn't been easy. It wasn't easy, but we did well. So we are in phase 2 now, where the business is now starting to scale up, business becoming corporatized, business is becoming, starting to be respected in the market. And I think this will go on again up until 2015 or so, or maybe a little bit earlier than that. And then, but it's a long game based on what you were saying earlier. We are inspired by people that have built 100-year-old businesses. We're inspired by people that think further than just people that think of the future,
Phase 3, quickly.
I guess phase 3 is what Robert Kiyosaki speaks about, the cash flow quadrant, and he speaks about the E block. He speaks about the S block, the E block being the employer quadrant, that when you're starting your own business, you start from just the employer quadrant, where you're the employee yourself. Sure. Even if it's your business, you're also the employee, you're the receptionist, you're the delivery guy, you're everything, right? You're the driver, you're and then you get into the S, which is, you're self-employed. And then you're starting to get 2 or 3 staff members to assist you, but it still relies on you, this business. You have to be there. And then you get into the other quadrant where it's sort of becoming a big business now. So I would say phase 3 for us is big business, where people will be seeing us like they see Coca-Cola. For us, it's always a compliment when you see people already starting to see us as an alternative to a Red Bull or an alternative to a Monster or a Player or Coca-Cola. Once they start mentioning our name amongst those big companies, it's always beautiful for us. With wow, people are already slowly starting to see us there, although we're not there yet. So that is the third phase. Third phase, we're a big business. We'll decide with the other shareholders whether we list the business, whether others sell or whatever happens. I mean, by that time, the business will be worth quite a lot of money, and I'll be a very old man at the time.
Thanks, Buddha. Just to close off the quadrant, the fourth quadrant.
Oh, the fourth quadrant is the I.
SB.
And then the bottom right would be the I, the investor quadrant. And, Robert Kiyosaki says that's where, he wants to see, when he was starting out, what he explains on his first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is that he's just always wanted to be that part, because, he was exposed to his father, was the poor dad, and the neighbor or the father that taught him business, that sort of was the rich dad, so to speak. And he says, that's where he wanted to see himself. And obviously, any business person, I think ultimately that's where we'd like to see ourselves, where you are now an investor. You don't have to run around, you don't have to be fully involved, but at least you are able to raise capital, or you've got money to invest in other businesses, where you're just purely an investor. You can literally sit here, be a podcaster, and not have to go to Limpopo, go to KZN. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be overseas if you want to. You know what I mean? Just totally up to you, I think that last block then would be the I quadrant. Guys, go check it out. Go research the cash flow quadrant. A lot of you guys, I know that you are familiar with it, but it's a beautiful thing to learn if you are not familiar with it. And I think that's how I leave it. So that's us. You fail so many times, but that's like what I always say to you, Mr. Piguti. What I've learned in business is that you only have to be right once.
Yeah.
You're gone.
Speaking of traveling, the president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, was in the United States to meet with President Joe Biden and strengthen relations. He also met with Kamala Harris, who's the deputy president in America. And I believe it may be today. I stand to be corrected, but the funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth is today. So he's the only African leader that was invited to the funeral, and one of two leaders from BRICS that were invited. The other one is the president of Brazil. I don't know if you have any feelings or thoughts around his trip to the US or the funeral that he'll be attending. I think it's today.
Yeah, I think, he's a president, and he's a president not only of black people, he's a president of the Republic of South Africa. As much as he's a black leader and as much as we are all against colonialism and what pretty much the Queen represented for a lot of us that might have, reserved feelings, he's a president. He has to represent his country, and his country is a country that is very multiracial. It's a country that lives a lot of people from all over the world. And I think as a president, he has to represent us well and obviously go there and attend the funeral. And I also heard a lot of comments or remarks, people saying, I think it's in Jamaica or something. The whole country was going to have a 9-day or 10-day shutdown, mourning the Queen or something like that. I'm glad that in South Africa, we haven't heard of such. But at least just for the president to then just go honor, in terms of appearing. But then, there's a lot of black people that wouldn't go if it was their own personal capacity. I wonder if it was in his own personal capacity, if he would go. But as a president, I think, you have to go. Represent your country.
One of the major newspapers wrote an article. The comments on Twitter were so funny, saying that South Africans demand of President Ramaphosa to have Monday as a public holiday to mourn or commemorate the Queen. And my comments, they on Black Twitter, went hard. It's not really a fair question, but I'm linking it to what you're saying about maybe Jamaica wanting a period of mourning. I think some of the Commonwealth nations loved the Queen. South Africa, I don't even know if we have mixed feelings, to be honest, because I can't really say the National Party loved Queen Elizabeth. I can't say even black people, there's a huge chunk of black people that loved the British royal family and Queen Elizabeth. It was interesting for me just seeing a newspaper speak on our behalf.
Yeah.
And also, look, there's a lot we're learning now. Harry and Meghan, as an example, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, were not invited, were uninvited. They were initially invited, then uninvited from the reception of the new King Charles. Scandalous. Where Harry wasn't allowed to wear his military uniform at some point in one of the processions of his grandmother's coffin being moved. And again, I think when we spoke about it last week, there's just a lot to reflect on.
I guess you've seen it. I mean, in movies like About Us,
Sure.
Movies like Us, or even just this rhetoric of a lot of black people saying, hey, marry whoever you want to marry, be in love with whoever you want to be in love with, but don't be ignorant to the fact that when you are, as umuntu omnyama, getting married or marrying somebody from another race, it's highly, highly possible that their parents might not approve of you, and a lot of people experience that all the time. I mean, we see it with a lot of couples that have married white women,
Sure.
or black sisters that have been married by white men.
Sure.
We've seen it a lot of the times. Now imagine that those are the highest echelons. That's like the Queen's.
It doesn't get higher than that.
It's the Queen's grandchild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, imagine Gini. I'm a boss with white supremacists.
Sure.
It's obvious. They're not necessarily going to easily accept Meghan Markle. I mean, not even not just the family, even in the UK itself. A lot of racism that she has experienced, and a simple thing like the movie that just came out, is it The Little Mermaid?
The Little Mermaid, yes.
I heard that YouTube has had to disengage the dislike button because of so many dislikes that were coming in, a lot of comments, racist comments that were coming in attacking that amazing young talented black girl who's playing the lead in that Little Mermaid. So, is this something we're going to get rid of one day? It certainly doesn't look like it's going to happen in our lifetime. But yeah, it's something you would expect. The royal family. And I mean, I even heard apparently he's not even, him and his wife, Meghan Markle, are not allowed to the Queen's, I don't know if it's actually the funeral as such or it's the ceremony. But they did mention apparently they're not, and I stand to be corrected, guys, they're not allowed. So, things like that you're expecting to see. But I'm glad that 12-year-olds in South Africa right now, 18-year-olds in South Africa right now, it's happening at a time in which they are alive in this internet age for them. As I was saying last week, on last week's episode, it's a beautiful, teachable moment. Our young people need to remember, this is the world we're living in.
The young girl's name is Harley Bailey. Amazing actress, cute little girl, very articulate. Very sad what's happening to her now. And I think people are going to have to monitor her mental health because she's going to take a lot. She didn't choose to diversify. She's an actress. She's talented. She found herself auditioning. She said as well in one interview that she was surprised. Oh, I can audition. She got picked. And now we have to protect her. And it's not just her, but what you're saying is making me think, I wonder how many conversations are being had in primary schools. I've got a 9-year-old daughter, Africa. She lives in China currently with her mom. I've got a 3-year-old daughter, Unkanyezi, culture. I'm wondering now if you're at school and they with maybe other white kids or maybe even black kids saying, don't you think it's bad that like Ariel is not white? I wonder what conversations they're having with the teachers, with the school. Ariel doesn't have red hair anymore. And a lot of people are raising this topic of it's just a fictional character, it shouldn't matter. And immediately in my head, I thought King T'Challa in Black Panther, Wakanda, is also a fictional character. But is it because he's African that it's fine that he must be black? It's complicated, but you're right in that it's exposing racists. It's exposing some people that maybe would have not spoken before. And I think it is a conversation because what if the Little Mermaid was a transgender? What if they got a little boy to play the Little Mermaid? And he's like, why must the Little Mermaid be a girl? What conversation comes up from there? So very teachable moment in the time we're in now. My concern is just, I hope Harley Bailey is not hurt during this and maybe even put off movies. We've had a lot of child stars in Hollywood, Macaulay Culkin, Lisa Lohan, I think, that ended up having very tumultuous lives.
Lindsay
Lohan, sorry. Some of them ended up going into drugs because, number one, the fame was too much. Number two, some of them may have been affected in certain ways, and it wasn't even being affected like this. Who are you to play the Little Mermaid? You and your people must, it's tough. But going back to there's a movie you mentioned before I go back to the Queen. And the president, rather. You said a movie, Us.
Yeah, Us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched Us.
I want to make sure it's the right movie.
Jordan Peele.
I know a Jordan Peele movie, Us. I don't know if you speak about Get Out.
Yeah, I'm speaking about Get Out and Us.
Okay.
Where,
shout out to Jordan Peele. Both movies are insane. Bro. There's a new one coming out soon, by the way.
Yeah, I
just forgot the name.
I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah.
I think it's dropping next month or something.
Okay, just to put the squatters on, Jordan Peele is actually a comedian, but he's directed 2 classic cult movies now, Get Out being one of them, probably one of the most important movies on race relations in the modern era, and then Us, another very powerful movie with Lupita Nyong'o as well there. So thank you for giving a shout out. I just wanted to re-emphasize the movie or the movies and Jordan Peele as well. Cyril Ramaphosa, speak about traveling.
Maybe before you go back to Cyril Ramaphosa, maybe before we let go of the Little Mermaid conversations that are happening around the movie, there's also another beautiful conversation to be had by us abantu abamnyama as far as that movie is concerned. Sikhule bathi kunama vartermeis, sikhule kuna this urban legend yokuthi ungayi kulela dam ningayodlalela emfuleni nina kune vartermeis la.
Sure.
Or I remember we used to call it what?
Nkanyamba.
Nkanyamba, you know? Nkanyamba, and other names would be Mrs. Fish.
Sure.
It's called to Mrs. Fish. Mrs. Fish, muhle, what the lines and to fish. You know, girls that we used to grow up with, they used to say that. And then we'd be curious as kids, and the very same time that where the parents are saying we mustn't go, we'd be naughty and go there, and
strong.
You know what I mean? And there's just be these rumors. There was once kids here that fell here, they drowned, and apparently 2 of them were taken by this Nkanyamba. I'm sure you also had those stories.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely heard a lot of those stories, especially kwa Kokwami or my grandmother's sister, Ukok Esther, in a place called Wahlati, Wash Bank, close to Ladysmith. I heard stories like, I remember speaking to my mom literally last year that I may not have believed the story, but it was parents trying to tell you stay away from there because kids have drowned. So they might create a fictional character. If we tell these kids limala lap, they won't hear. But if we say it keeps kids away. But I've definitely heard these stories.
Yes, it's urban legend stories like about Pinky Pink.
Yeah.
You know, but Pinky Pink umuntu umlayishile ngapha nawusuthi uyabheka akasekho lo muntu noma uzithole mhlambe udrive ngemoto nawuvuka lapha ekuseni uvuka usemangcwaba. You know, all these stories and you think abantu abadala would create them ukusithusa. But somewhere, somehow, when you hear from other elderly people, for instance, the Pinky story, for those that watch videos of Ukoko Credo Muto, there is a part where he talks about some of the things that he had experienced back in, not him, I think stories that he was told also by his elders about, and I don't want us to go into that topic, but aliens. And apparently these creatures were pink in skin. And I guess that's where the story of Pinky comes from. But that's where I was not there. I was here on saying, even the story saying Kanyamba mermaids, there's just this thing you're going to know, mermaids don't exist. But then there's just all sorts of different stories everywhere that say, you know, there might have been a mermaid that was found in some river in Mexico. And then, and these are different parts of the world, different stories. And rumors, I don't know how factual they are. Abantu abadala would tell you, no, those things exist. And I was even hearing somebody who was commenting about this girl's story of her experiencing racism, Harley. He was saying, kodwa inkanyamba zikhona mos. And inkanyamba vele umuntu omnyama. I was like, what? Does it really exist? You saw things like that. I don't know. So there's also another teachable moment in that story again as well, you know?
Zamalek Giza last week when we had a conversation with him spoke about how Stan Lee, Marvel Comics, according to his knowledge, Stan Lee had a secret visit to South Africa and sat with Ukoko Credo Mutwa. And some of these characters, about Spider-Man, he says come from some of our stories. And I know Hollywood steals a lot of stories, not just on the African continent, but even in Asia. It's been proven. The Lion King is a story that was stolen from Asia. So you start wondering, Mpela, if maybe they actually came here and heard some of our stories and then took them overseas, obviously then created a white mermaid, the same way some people might think the Egyptian pharaohs were Abelungu when they were not. And to what you're saying, or what I'm thinking is, this creates an opportunity for us to tell our own stories. When are we going to create our own superheroes, our own little mermaids, so that if someone else does it somewhere else, we almost don't need Banaga, because we're like, but we've got our own. We've created our own. We've got our own films. We've got our own. We can even link and say, but the film ya phuma ngo 1930, then iphume ngo 1980 bani. So actually, so I really hope something like that would happen. Someone did say on Twitter, njobu khuluma about ukuthi angazi noma inkanyamba, but labo sis laba bawofish being abantu abamnyama ukuthi ngibeka ngesizulu manje.
Engathi ngiyabona ama-comments but ngiyathanda ukuclaim ukuthi yonke into ayiseyenza umuntu omnyama. Sengiklema nama-mermaids manje.
Khona umuntu othe
But it is true,
ku-Twitter.
hamba ubuza ugogo wakho, you'd hear these stories.
Khona umuntu othe ku-Twitter, the amount of abantu abamnyama abayiphonswa olwandle during the slave trade. Why would you be surprised ukuthi labantu ba abantu abamnyama? Ngoba nalahla osisi abaningi in there. What did you think happened to them in their spirits?
It's an interesting conversation, that one. I've even seen a lot of sculptures that have been done underwater, you know, to sort of celebrate memories of our ancestors who died.
Yeah.
Beyilahlela olwandle, bayitshela ukuthi, I'd rather die than be taken to the other side of the world and become
Killmonger, that's Black Panther.
I'd rather
He
die.
quoted that line. And I know it's not his, Ryan Coogler, but it's exactly that.
You know? So it's beautiful that everybody has got a phone to learn and comment. But some of us, we mustn't just comment and keep it moving. Comment and do a little bit of your own research. I love these things because they become teachable moments for us.
And use the motivation to tell stories.
Yeah.
If you really feel like, I mean, we've got indigenous languages. Let's not wait for Walt Disney to come and make an African version of The Little Mermaid in isiZulu. Why can't we do it? Why can't we create those things? And you don't need, there's people that shoot skits on their phones. Why can't you do that and start? And we create something like a Nollywood here.
Just like what the Nigerians have done,
Yeah.
right? And I totally agree with you. But then I was sitting with Nota last week and Mensa Main, and Nota was saying, Mensa was asking Nota, why do you all need America?
Yeah.
Like, you've got such a big continent. Like, I guess maybe because he's created a career for himself in South Africa as an American YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know, and he was asking it from an honest place. But honestly, I react to South African music, and I've created a YouTube career out of just reacting to South African culture, and I'm even creating a life in South Africa as a 21-year-old. It's young, that man is 25 or 27.
Jeez. Yeah.
But his question to Nota was like, but why do y'all, he was even specific asking him about Questa. With Nota, you've mentioned it before, at some point you were trying to break Questa open, like, why do y'all need America so much? And then Nota's answer was, we grow and we reach the pinnacle in our country. And for a lot of musicians, when you've reached a certain type of success, you want more. And I guess it's normal for a lot of talented people, not only in music, that after you've done, you want more. And he was explaining and saying, America has got this very big media hegemony that a lot of the times it becomes easier for you to conquer the world easier if you are either based in the US or in places like London, you know, and those types of places. So I would like to believe we can create our own stories. We are creating our own stories. We've been creating our own stories. We've got a lot of dope, talented filmmakers who've been doing incredible work over the years. But as much as we will create those stories, the amount of success or the amount of reach might not be as big as those Hollywood movies. I guess a lot of concern is just, you know, us being recognized and having representation even in the Hollywood stories. But I also am with the argument of saying, let's do our, I've been doing everything my own.
Yeah.
Independent record label from when I was 21 years old. Even still today, I'm still unemployed doing my own thing. You know, fired out of radio, created our own radios. Now we're podcasting, I'm a microphone I too, but I always have been somebody who's self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I depend on me, you know? And I think if a lot of us can become like that, become entrepreneurial. I don't think we are an entrepreneurial nation.
Yeah.
Because even though there's been a lot of people, even in the arts space, that have done all of this incredible work that has become successful globally, the Lion Kings, the Sarafinas, we need more of that. Where are more of those? Where's the Sarafina of now, of 2022? Where is the Umoja of now? You know,
Yeah.
where are the things that broke the Shaka Zulus of now?
Yeah.
You know, conscious projects that come from us that get to break globally. Not us celebrate. Yes, it's good for us to celebrate your Black Panthers, etc. That's what we want. We want to see that representation, but then we don't have that. We don't have ownership of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time I kind of feel, can we do it from here and create a big industry from here at home? And it also links to another conversation where I was saying to Intwana Zanu, they don't have to struggle like the great Dr. John Kani to have to go to overseas to break there first and become a global icon, or the Trevors of this world, or the Black Coffees of this world, or the Mama Miriam Makebas of this world, the Brahus, may their souls rest in peace, of this world. Now there is this. Major League is showing us that. Who else is doing it? MacGyver, McG is showing us that. But also these platforms are not ours.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Where you
they're
can
not.
do it from here at
I was
home.
thinking of what you were saying about Umansa Main, that he's saying, but you can do it from here. Like, but you also on YouTube, which is also not a local.
You know what I mean? But then again, still there's that argument. We can do it
Sure.
from here, make it big on our platforms, and then when you become bigger from here at home, the platform becomes bigger, then automatically you are international.
Sure.
Then you get the invites, or whenever you want to, you can then travel wherever, because then you've got a platform that is big, that can represent you anywhere in there. And that's what I love about what we're doing here, that it's we're tapping into the international market. It's not only South Africans, although the base will be South Africans. A lot of the people, I'm sure majority of people that are watching our content are mostly South Africans.
Sure.
But then there is also that question, but even these platforms we're using, these are not ours. So let's become an entrepreneurial nation.
Continent.
Let's do things. Continent.
Yeah.
We are though, you know? I really do think a lot of the Nigerians, the Pakistani community, the Muslim community that is trading. I'm talking traders now. Those are all entrepreneurs, bro.
Yeah.
All these people that we are complaining about with Bastateli Paza, they're from the continent, but they're traders.
Sure.
I'm a Nigerian. We look at them and we are all friends and we sometimes complain about, but they are self-sufficient, they're entrepreneurial. Have you landed in Nigeria and seen the entrepreneurial spirit of Niger? As soon as you land at the airport, somebody's already approaching you saying, "Ngizokufonela le line, ungawari boy."
Yes, yes.
Wena nje ngigayi sincane ngizokufonela kule line. Now uqeda ukuphuma airport khona umunye ukulanda luggage,
Sure.
Then you just, that's what you experience. Thina it's little, then kuyokuthi uzolanda ikhagadi kuphela, after ikhagadi omunye uzokupakisa imoto uza spine.
Sure.
In Nigeria, that's what you experience left, right, even when you pass in street corners, but they're such an entrepreneurial nation that I kind of feel that South Africans, we're not there. That's why I've always been very loud about this thing. Let's just become that entrepreneurial. It must be normal. We must not look down upon we must not look down upon umfana othengisa emgwaqweni. Those are entrepreneurs, because that's how entrepreneurship starts. But I just don't think we are an entrepreneurial nation in J.
I hear you.
Because even if we can create our own things, our own films, our own this and that, as I was saying to you earlier, that I was forced to become an entrepreneur and learn, but I had to go get people, me and my partner, people who can help us, who are trained in business, to grow our business, to become what it's supposed to become. But we don't have those skills.
Yeah.
We didn't go to school to run a business, right? It's chancile, but we're risk takers because we're entrepreneurial. I'm starting to see more and more younger people become entrepreneurial. But imagine in 50 years or 100 years' time, if we can have Umzansi having an entrepreneurial nation that is also educated and knowledgeable to be able to run their own businesses. And that is the owners to people like us then who've walked the path even without the actual formal education in business, to then go teach, share, and share their knowledge. How do you grow a business? How do you scale up? How do you, like the first part of this interview, some of the things that I was saying that gives light to a lot of people who are like, oh, I didn't know this about MoFaya. I just thought, they just started a business and just started selling,
Sure.
And I mean, one day I'll also go into depth on what our actual can represents. But our business was inspired by two events in South Africa, 1956 and 1976, I'll explain it to you. One might as well explain it, because just quickly summarize it. The gold is what we believe is the wealth that is possessed by our continent. We chose black because it's a color of boldness. It's a color of strength, and it's a very strong color. And as they would say, Africa is the dark continent. The gold represents the wealth that is in the continent. The other day when we did the episode with Bishop Joshua Maponga, my rhetoric, that entire interview, I kept on saying Zimbabwe is wealthy, Zimbabwe is wealthy, Zimbabwe is wealthy. It's still the same thing I believe about the continent. The continent is extremely wealthy. The continent feeds the whole world. And as much as they can say we are the dark continent, this can represent the boldness in that black. And we believe black is a beautiful color. And when you see the gold that's sitting on it, it shows you the wealth that we represent and the wealth that is in this country. And we we sort of put in a sort of a coat of arms around this flame. This is a flame that you are seeing here. The flame represents the burning desire of the youth of 1976, the burning desire of Abo Mama Bango 1956 marching against the past laws. And those two events, when we started our company, we did say in Ospiwe, this will be a protest project. Yes, we'll be very lucky to make money in the first 5 years or the first 10 years, but our goal, we're going 30 years plus. This is a protest project. That's why even noma sizoyenza yo mele sifocus kuyo kodwa mele thina nawe sizikhohle ngoba le yengane zethu le yokukhuthaza uMzansi Africa. Basically, this is not our project. We're going to protest with this project, right? And the coat of arms and how we put all of this around this flame, this burning desire, is to honor those generations that inspired the likes of Abo MoFaya. And the name MoFaya, why didn't we go with the F-I-R-E? We cannot believe the fire, the way we wrote it, F-A-Y-A, is pronounceable in any language. In Italian, in Isisutu, in Portuguese, in Sitsonga, in Isizulu, Setswana, Sipedi. Everybody, if they were to pronounce this word, it's pronounced the same in any language, in any country, right? And we're inspired by a play in Kenya, which was called MoFaya, which was raising money for the young poor people or the slums of Kenya at the time. I think it was 2013, 2012, 13, 14. And that's where the inspiration came from those events. And the code of arms here is just to honor that generation. And the goldness is just the wealth that we possess. And then you look at the punchline at the back that says, let your mind breathe a new fire for passion. Arise beyond the ashes of your limitations. Ignite your mind with countless possibilities. From the beginning, we knew that other energy drinks are targeting extreme sports. They're targeting, events that make you feel good. They need energy. They're in line with, but we kind of felt, let's go to the mind. Let's go and conscientize the nation. It's going to be a difficult job, bro. It's going to be very difficult to push it in the market. But let's go and ignite people's minds with this can. So when people bump into this can anywhere, in any street corner of this country, no matter how many years I would have been dead, when they see this can, that's what it represents. It represents possibility. It represents that it can be done. It represents Black excellence. When you look at this can now and how it looks from how it looked in the beginning, it has evolved. It has gone through so many stages. Now imagine if we were to all be that type of conscious when starting our businesses from the beginning. You always talk about intentional parenting, being intentional entrepreneurs, being intentional about our businesses. This is what we're going to build and this is what it's going to represent. Imagine if only at least 500,000 business people in South Africa think like that and what they're going to create. Because a lot of us, we create businesses. Yes, we want to be independent. Yes, we want to create employment, but we want to make money. We quickly want to make money. Skibble, how much is 63? So buy that they have Sunday at 15, the apartment in New York, travel the world, go in, you know what I mean? I think that's our mindset. But I think if we can start fixing that mindset and start being conscious, I kind of believe we can then create long-term businesses that then answer the questions that you've been asking me, things that we've been speaking about then we will be able to have push Black excellence to that level of creating systematic structures that are able to trade with other entrepreneurs in Nigeria, in Kenya, that then eventually become, some of our businesses become global businesses, and we create relations with also other countries everywhere else. So I don't even know what led me to go into that MoFaya example, but I guess it was just
You speak about our potential as a continent and how we need to blaze the trail in innovation.
Yeah.
And how even when you guys were building, as Nigerians and other Pakistanis and maybe East Africans who are natural traders, none forced,
yeah.
You didn't have the know-how and the whatever, and we need more kids to create the Shaka Zulus of today, the Yizo Yizos of today, to create the Little Mermaids in Kanyamba of today.
Yeah.
Because you guys were able to do it without much, non-forced. So we need more kids who forced, and make sure that even in Ukfosta Wako, you are intentional in what you're doing and you can articulate what you're representing.
Yeah, and let me tell you why you have to be intentional about your consciousness and about you going the long haul. Is that if you're not, we're still falling into the same trap, because all you're about is just money. See, when you're not conscious, you're all about just money.
Yes.
So we can buy you, or we can buy your company, or we can, and the decisions that you make are not being influenced by your consciousness. They're influenced by money. So then it's really move.
Yeah.
Because still, izinto nasehamba kahle sekumnandi, sell this back to abelungu futhi.
Yeah.
Ngikhohliwe ukuthi why did we start this in the first place? Or even when I make decisions, you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say, right?
It's like the mindset of a colonizer. You're just doing it without a soul.
Yeah.
So soulless chasing versus conscious chasing.
Yeah.
Where it's not just about chasing money, but it's also about building and uplifting and empowering.
We have to live this thing. We have to live this thing. With me, now most of my money I spend it on small businesses.
Yeah.
Me njalo nangishaya around the Ekasi ngenza sure ukuthi I buy ngiyashiya nje la Ekasi. I support local businesses there. Mina ngenza sure ukuthi you know, if you are intentional about it. So even when you sit with your partners in your status meetings or in your board meetings or in your whatever, even when you look at your suppliers, how many of these suppliers are women?
Yeah.
How many of these suppliers come from disabled people? How many of these suppliers come? Yes, you're not necessarily government, but when you're looking at whatever you want to do and you want to give that business, no matter how small it can be, it could just be business, nyana 5 stina or 3 stina every week. Or umuntu ozokuthungela ikipa, mhlambe make promo t-shirts for your company.
Sure.
Are you intentional by saying no? Umuntu ozozenza ngifuna kube black company, or you just don't mind? I know it's fine. You know what I mean? So I think that consciousness, that's why it comes in just little droplets and pieces in our daily life, in those little small decisions that we make on a daily basis. I think for me, that's where it starts, that consciousness. Yes, we can look at it from a bigger scale, but it just starts in here. I guess that's why we went Ignite Your Mind.
I was in Durban last week. I met with some of my panelists. I don't know if we must close it here, man.
No. You can't start something and want to close it. Okay, maybe let this be the last topic.
Okay.
Yeah. And big up.
I'm gonna be very brief.
The community is growing, right?
The community is growing. So I'm not gonna mention the second part of the Durban visit, but I'll just say thank you to Zane Zuma, Uzipho Mhlongo, and Ryan, who hosted me at some point there, and they put me on. Saturday was World Cleanup Day. I went to clean up with Ward 88. Nicolene Jonker is our ward councillor where I come from.
Nice.
We were just doing it because they were doing it for World Cleanup Day. I posted a video to Tuzane because they've been doing cleaning up Newlands in Durban. They decided to do a video pack, which I thought was pretty cool.
Nice.
But more importantly, the panelists that I met with, I'm on this now, in closing. So I'm not going to speak about Cyril. I'm going to say I hope his travels have been good for the nation. South Africa, I hope he will represent the country very well. I hope bazomngcwaba kahle ugogo ka Harry nogogo ka William, umama ka Charles, for the people of the United Kingdom and whoever they represent. I hope we'll find solutions. We had very bad load shedding over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Abo Ramaphosa and some of the work and the movements they're doing, they can find some of the solutions for us, but we need to find some of the solutions for ourselves. Just in summary. One of the things I said to the panelists when we met on Florida Road, eThekwini, and then we also met at a small business of a gentleman called Uvuyani, Kwamash, Kwa-E. And I was telling them to what you're saying about intentional buying. Who are you buying from? Is this an old Goko that's supporting kids? Is this Ubaba that's doing something for his community? I said we speak very much about politicians and government and who they give tenders to. And I said, you yourself have tenders that you give, the clothing that you wear, the food that you eat, the transport that you use, where you send your kids to school, where you buy medicine from. It may not be a lot, mhlawumbe uholu 5,000 a month, mhlawumbe uholu 10,000. Leo budget yakho, khona abantu abanamathenda, imali yakho. What are you doing with those tenders? Who are you giving them to? Are you intentionally saying, zothenga impahla zasibuda? Because ngifuna ukunikeza yena ithenda. Ngizama ngiyophuza MoFaya. That's who's going to be my beverage tender is going to go there. Ukudla ngizophekela umama bani. It's nice to always look up there, but we have to always bring it here. And I said, guys, while you're criticizing uhulumeni, nani namathenda mancane, and you can imagine the collective of, let's call it black people in South Africa, black Africans, 48 million. Le imali zenu manihlanganisa zonke, amathenda.
Sure.
Nuwanikeza ubani.
Sure.
Bengifuna ukusho as well in closing. I'm going to give you a chance to close as well. I don't know if you want to close us or if I must close.
Yeah, you can close us. It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to speak and then I'm going to close.
Okay.
Ngiyazi usibusisa kazange ngasho, ngizoyishaya ngesintu. Ukhulumile ngegolide njoba seGauteng eGoli. Wakhuluma ngale kane elimnyama elabantu abansundu. Thina abantu abansundu nomlili fire. Njoba ethi MoFaya phecelezi ngesingisi kuthiwa it's spelled phonetically. Akazange akhulume ngalo ubovu lo begazi elachithwa. Bengithi uzolisho, but I'm glad that I'm saying it. And I'm not saying he said it. I'm saying ukuthi liningi igazi elachithwa and ugogo bayomfihla namhlanje England, but on behalf of her amabutha akhe we lost a lot of people. And kumele vele masibamba lekani and we liberate our minds. Sikhumbule just the representations, you know. As umuntu omnyama, as you can see igazi elachithwa, as igolide slow isijaha every day, and what that means in our lives. You know, part of it is the intentional tenders of our own budgets. Part of it is innovating and not always looking for what's perfect. What's perfect can come later. You know, we've had MoFaya, we've had Theo Baloy of Ipatu, we've had Ulikau, Siwane of Drip. Obviously, we've had Mkhukhu Nzingiza, we're going to Inzalo Yelanga this week. We can't speak for people that were born into wealth. Siyababongela nabo, abazali babo nabo bayahuzuka, you know. But don't ever be scared to start with nothing. With your phone, with your mom's sewing machine, with your father's transporting ogoga bayolanda stock. Guys, don't ever fear that, man, because we all start. There's no one in this world outside of people that are born into wealth. There's no one that starts with everything. Even those people that are born into something, Kona, Mkhulu, Ukoko, somewhere, Ukoko, somewhere, that started at Dustin in times when it was not fashionable. Your Honor, the British royal family, the wealth, the land, 6.6 billion acres of land that they accumulated in the way they accumulated it. Khona umuntu emndenini owathi no mina I'm going to go out and conquer the world. The way abayenza ngakhona obviously kwalimala abantu abaningi, but someone made a decision. We're not saying go out, you colonize and whatever. If you are going to colonize, of course, colonize in intelligent ways, through retail, through education, through teaching people your culture, amapiano, comedy, film. We can colonize better so that we colonize in a way of love. I think we have the opportunity to do that. And this spiritual moment we had of the genesis of the MoFaya cairn and the MoFaya story and what it represents for the African child. And by the African child, obviously, but I welcome all the other people that identify as Africans, the Indians, the coloreds, the whites, the white person who's going to say, I'm not European, I'm African. If you're Afrikaans, you're like, ek is an Afrikaner, I'm African. If you identify and you understand what we mean, siyakubonga and siyakuthanda as well. To those who don't, unfortunately, yes, sohlangana ngelinye ilanga somewhere, but we're becoming more conscious, more aware of how we spend our money, how we send our education out there. And I think I'll stop there for now, let you finish off, and then I'll close us off.
Thank you, bro. In my closing, I'd like to say, to add on to what he's saying, let's start also thinking, I don't have to enjoy the shade of the tree that I'm planting. And I'm not just planting a small tree. I'm planting a jacaranda tree. I'm planting a baobab tree. I'm planting in what do they call those big, thick trees? Not baobab, but the other ones. The oak trees.
Yes.
You know?
I wanted to say oak, but I told him
yeah, you know? And that was our mindset. We knew from the beginning. And yes, the way in which we did it, but we knew it was a long game. We knew with you're already an engineer, you're doing well, you're building multi-billion rand mines, you're doing great work, you've got a great career. I've got a great career in the music industry, in entertainment, in broadcasting, and whatever I'm doing. I would like for you and I, and this is us nasaqala, we had to conscientize each other and say, Ntanga, asenzeli thina. Senzela not only ingane zethu, kodwa senzela umzansi, like people must be inspired by this project we're about to embark on. This needs a lot of our prayers. This needs a lot of ekuhlaleni phansi sishisa impepho sibonga abantu abadala. This needs a lot of guidance from people who've walked this journey before. But this is going to be a very difficult journey we're about to embark on. But we're intentional from the beginning. So let's start thinking that way. Lesihlahla lesi engizositshala. Njengoba basho bathi indlovu when it's about to give birth, it looks at the others and the others are on some. We've been giving birth 1, 2, 3 times. When are you still pregnant? And indlovu is on some. What I'm giving birth to indlovu. Into ekungayidlula kumi imoto kuzwakale. What I'm planting here is an oak tree. What I'm planting here is a baobab tree. What I'm planting or giving birth to here is something that is going to take me working on it, watering it, nurturing it, looking after it for the next 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years, for future generations to enjoy the shades of these trees that we are planting now. If we can have just that mindset, I think we'll go far. Thank you.
Amen. This week, we're at Inzalo Yelanga. We'd like to thank each and every one of you who bought a package in support. We'd like to thank each and every one of you who has joined us in collaboration to celebrate African New Year and to begin lighting the spark of a renaissance and a rejuvenation and a rebirth of the African continent. And more importantly than the African continent is the African mind. The mind of the black child, the mind of any child of any race who identifies Africa as their home, as where they were born and where their family feels at home, because this is our Garden of Eden. This is where life started. So we're looking forward to joining you guys, celebrating with you guys, singing with you guys, learning with you guys, connecting our spirits, lighting each other's candles. And we're hoping that this is the beginning of a very, very beautiful journey. For those who have not bought packages, please try and organize transport. Maybe try and DM and tag us on social media to see if some people can set up WhatsApp groups to travel together. Come visit for a day. Organize with abantu bakini mhlambe baseMpumalanga enbaziyo to host you guys, and let's all connect and combine together. End of this week, we're going to be at the Credo Mutwa village. We're going to post that on our social media as well. And I just want to congratulate the entire team and the great empire of Kemet with Mkhukhu Nsingiza in memory of Umamuzinzi Mandela as well, who was one of the founders of the movement that they're doing, the conscientization, the education. We're going to be putting the links of some of my YouTube channels, some of DJ Sboo's YouTube channels. Please help us grow this channel as well, which is the child of the Hustlers Corner and all the hustlers that we've grown this year. Help us grow this channel as well. We want to bring more people on, besides myself and Usbusiso, to educate and impart and light each other's flames. We are looking to innovate, we are looking to build, and we're looking to combine and connect with you. I want to once again thank all the people that hosted me in Durban, in particular my panelists there, in particular Tutuzane Zuma and the team. Let us plant the trees. We are enjoying the shade of a tree. We don't even know who planted it back in the day. It is our turn to plant the trees and pass it forward to those who came before us. And we look forward to seeing you guys again. The virtual Mkhukhu VM, we're building something very special here. And we're very happy that you guys are joining us along the journey. Penuel the Black Pen, we're out.
Peace.
This is the Hustler's Corner.